Hello everyone. It's nice to see so many of you here today for our loop. For those of you who are here for the first time, Loops is our event series here at New Practice. It is initiated together with the Berlin University Alliance and is now supported by the Projekt Zukunft of the State of Berlin. And with each loop, we try to explore questions facing our society at the intersection of art, science, and technology. But first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Otto, and this is my lovely chorus Nata right across from me. And we are glad to be here for you tonight as your hosts. And we're both students of the Design and Computation Master's Program here at New Practice. And yeah, we are in our space right now and are looking for a lovely evening tonight with you.
We would like to welcome our tonight's guest, Aram Bartholl, a media and conceptual artist from Germany, who deals with examination of the relationship between the digital and physical world. His artistic practice consists of performative interventions, installations, and workshops to question our engagement with media and public economies linked to social networks and online platforms. Aram addresses socially relevant topics such as surveillance, data privacy, and technology dependence. His works create a bizarre confrontation with our own ignorance of globally active platform capitalism. Conceptually and technically, Aram uses the same aesthetics, codes, and communication patterns that users are familiar from YouTube, Instagram, and video games. He employs the logic of the internet, while at the same time undermining it with individual strategies. Aram exhibited at the MoMA, Centre Pompidou, Palais de Tokyo, Hamburg Bahnhof, and many more other institutions. He also conducted countless workshops, talks, and performances internationally. He's a professor of art with digital media at HW, Hamburg, and lives and works in Berlin. And today's loop is called after one of Aram's projects, On the Brink, which he probably elaborates more. Maybe we'll also shortly explain how the loops work.
Exactly. The loop starts, we will go through this in 4 steps. We will start with a 20-minute intervention by Aram. Then we'll have a time slot for all of us to have questions, to ask questions to Aram. And then we will go back into Aram's work. And in the end, we'll again open it up for questions. And with that, thank you so much for joining us, Aram, and I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me again. I gave a talk here exactly 2 years ago, kind of. It's really funny, this 3D printed microphone holders. I like them. Okay, yeah, also we can do it. I added new work to the talk, and also I'm switching in between Keynote, and then I have the LibreOffice presentation program also open with a talk from 2 years ago. And we have the 20-minute loop, and I will present, but also you're very much invited to like intervene any moment and like, what is this? Like, ask a question. Who was here 2 years ago? Yeah, so few. Okay, just to get an idea. Yeah, because I could like start with this. Actually, it's kind of funny. This was the logo from 2 years ago. Usually I start with my talks with these videos around about, but I can also start with the new stuff and then we go back. Like, what's better? That's better? That's better. But there's always older stuff and a lot of old stuff. Let's go that way. Okay. Yeah, art and technology, that's like always the buzzing word. It became sort of a meme online. You know all these memes like, oh, you're also in the art and technology corner. Is art and technology in the room with us right now? It became a funny joke. I'm going to start with this last big solo show I opened a couple months after my last talk, so like also 2 years ago at the Kunsthalle Osnabrück. It was called Ihr Paket ist abholbereit. And it's Kunsthalle Osnabrück is this museum which has like a new building, and it has also the space of a church. It's been like exhibition space over 30 years already. And also the church is not in use since almost, I think, like something like 200 years, and Napoleon had weapons in there and stuff. So Osnabrück is the city of the Friedensvertrag and all this history they have over there. But for this show, we brought in around 40 tons of electronic waste in different forms and different setups. We had a DHL parcel station, which was working. It became part of the exhibition, and also people from the city who just wanted to pick up their parcel came to the museum and were in the show, and also kind of became part of that performance of getting something from there, something new. And the church, like the whole installation was sorted in a way that you can pick up your parcel here, and then you can follow the track of how e-waste is kind of taken apart into smaller pieces until the end of the church. It is shredded in very small pieces. And if you're not happy with this, like maybe a device you just got, you can also just bring it to the trash right away, because some of the big platforms, when you return it, it also goes to the trash, as you might know. So this was sort of when you go closer up. And I'm always interested, I've been looking at electro-trash, e-waste for many years now, and whenever I bring something to the recycling yard here in Berlin or other cities, there's all these treasures in the containers. Oh, look at this screen, I can still use it. And I always feel like attached and connected to these devices. What else could be possible? But also, what's happening to all these phones, or what had happened, how many people have used them, the whole like emotional labor we put into these devices, kind of trying to live with them, and it's emanating from them somehow for me. If you're invited to grab your phone and try this QR code. So the church has had 6 QR codes, I think, in the form of this oversized emoji flame. This one is pointing to the Keeling curve, the official website of the Keeling curve, which is like measuring the CO2 emissions of the particles per million of CO2 in the air since the 60s. And it's hosted by some UCLA, University of California. And this is like the whole topic, the sustainability, but also electronic waste. And there was a company putting up these huge wallpapers as QR codes I designed, and they kind of went well together with the church windows next to it. Here's another one, the small one in the end, if you manage to catch it. It's an email to Olaf Scholz when he was still a Kanzler. And also, he's born in Osnabrück. A few people only know this. And it's an invitation to visit the show, and it's a pre-written email when you scan this code, so you can send an email to Olaf Scholz, Bundestagsabgeordnetenbüro E-Mail-Adresse, and they also reply when you send something there. It's really interesting. And I was like, calling to the Klimakanzler, and it's a very soft criticism email, but nonetheless, DHL didn't want that code above their delivery station, so we had to move it on the other side. And it's interesting. It was really, the DHL station that kind of was the trickiest part of the whole show. They were thinking a long time about it if they should join in this project together. I love this little crate with all the routers in there. It's also all the internet which went through there. And there's a reading corner. There was a lot of interaction in this exhibition. It went on for 8 months, over the course of 8 months in 2023-24. And it was the 30th anniversary of the Kunsthalle. And we built these 3, or better, let's say the staff built these 3 chandeliers. I came up with, and they're actually TVs. So when you take up you remove the screen surface, like the actual pixel display from a TV set, you have these boxes with LEDs in there, which is the backlight of the screen. Except the very new ones, it's OLED displays. It's like the screen is also the light, but the light is always in the back of the display. The same here. Like when you punch a hole in here, you can look in the back, and there's just a box of Christmas lights, let's say. And these 3 big chandeliers were looking over the church. Here's also, the space is huge, and everything like scales kind of weird in there. So get an idea, they were pretty big. And ironically, when you hook up a TV like this and it's not working anymore as a TV but as a light source, we realized, okay, they have an auto turn off after 5 minutes, 10 minutes. When there's no signal, they would just go dark. So we had switches attached, like electronic circuits, and switched these TVs on and off so they would blink in a 5-minute cycle, more or less, in this church. It was kind of ironic. So the night look of the exhibition space was like this. And as you can see, some are off. There were repair cafes going on over the course of these 8 months. Every month there was a different repair cafe coming in from the region. It's these initiatives of people who repair electronics for free, and you can go there and bring your old radio, like this person. And these volunteers try to fix it. This has been going on for, I think, few decades already. Right now, I think there's still this bonus in Berlin where you can a repair bonus. You bring something for repair, and then you get up to 200 euros. We all know this, right? There's a lot of e-waste. We use all these electronic devices, and they have all the rare earth materials in there. I mean, radio is pretty normal, but especially computers, highly developed devices, and it's good to use them for a long time and try to repair them. And it was interesting because these initiatives, they were different initiatives from the region of Osnabrück, and over this whole project, they were connecting. Is it working? Okay, yeah. They were connecting and building a network, and also at the end of the show in January, they had a big fair in the show, bringing in more people who would do clothing and bicycle repair and screen printing and all kinds of stuff. So they kind of took over the show and for this one weekend, and it's kind of how I like it when you put out an idea and you ask these people to join in, and then they networked, and I think they're still doing these events now as a big group, and before they were separate groups. And when something gets its life by its own and it really starts evolving, and you just, for them also it wasn't really important that this is an art show. It was just where are the tables, where can we work, etc. They were kind of funny. This was going on, and of course also the first question was where's coffee and cake, because it's a repair cafe and there has to be free cake. This is the first thing I learned. There was one painting in the show, to make sure it's an art show. It's actually it's a screen print. It's not a proper painting. And when you look into your iPhone and you search for art in your emoji library, this will come up. So it's the art emoji of your iPhone collection, emoji collection. And it refers a little bit to the, for me also, we see the Windows XP bliss in there, but also, it's very classic landscape, but the frame is part of the painting, so there's a couple of things going on here. This was hanging on the box, and here in the front there's these checkout EC-Karten reader there was a CD, a box full of CD-ROMs and DVDs, which was very popular. People would go through, and there's a catalog. You're also invited to take a look after the talk, which came out last November, so very much delayed. And now it's a big surprise. I don't know what's the next show. Here's another show which happened last year after the show in Osnabrück in Kunstverein Rothenburg an der Wümme, which is between Hamburg and Bremen. It's a very small Kunstverein, and it's in an old Feuerwehr tower. It's like a tower from the fire department, and it would be used to dry hoses. And they put like some floors in there, so you have a floor space of 3 by 4 meter, or maybe 3 by 3 is really small, but then you have like 4 or 5 floors you can go up, and so it's a funny gallery situation. The show was called Home Smart Home, and it's about home surveillance devices. There's a huge market for this, like cameras to put in your house. We are used to have webcams and phone cams around, obviously, but also there's cameras hidden in all kinds of devices. The show starts with this print in the lobby, and the print is already depicting a lamp bulb as a camera. And when you look closer, there's a camera in this picture. So the poster, the print is looking at you while you look at it. It's hiding behind here. It's connected to the internet. It's going through some Chinese cloud, and I could see on my phone what's happening in the room. This is the ground floor. Then on the second floor, there's a watch and a hook on the wall, and it looks very empty otherwise. And same thing here. It's a very ugly designed hook to hang your jacket. Actually, I forgot to hang something on that hook for the show. And also the clock on the wall has a camera in the number 10, in the 1 of the 10. It's really hard to see. Actually, yeah, you can really see it on here. But when the hook, you see the little hole up there. These cameras are like, yeah, they're hidden cams. There's been a discussion within the field of rental apartments, Airbnb. Like, that's known that people put cameras up to protect the apartment, but also to survey people living in the apartment. So that's like it's a big problem. But also they're called nanny cams. So it's like, oh yeah, we have to watch the nanny while the nanny is looking after the kid. And yeah, there's a weird thing going on how we equip, we have lost trust in social situations, and also how technology is like taking over these private places. So it's not just like Facebook, whatever, Google, etc., looking at us, what we're doing online, but also this is a huge market where people bring these things at home to look at each other, follow the relationship. I mean, it's a quite brutal situation. The plug in the wall is a camera as well. I mean, it's a phone charger. You can charge your phone, but also you can remove this lid, and then you see camera behind it. So whenever you go to some place you can look for devices which are plugged in, like photo frames or like a radio wecker, like these weird devices which are plugged to the power socket all the time. And then on the third floor there was this chandelier. So there should be sound now on the video, which is coming up next, I think. Oh yeah, it's loading from... Yeah, like always, somebody in the background is cleaning up the ground floor before the opening of the show. But yeah, as you can see, there's these cameras. They, I mean, it's interesting because it's light bulbs, and they have this gewinde, and you screw in the light bulb, but they're a camera at the same time, and it's a 360 cam, and you're supposed to connect them to your phone, to your Wi-Fi, and they are on this stage just like fresh from the factory. You screw them in, and then they asking you to connect your phone, like entering pairing mode. Like you're supposed to pair your device with them. And when I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, this is perfect. I'm just gonna leave it. So they go on forever. I think they say this like 3 times, and then it takes like 5 minutes, and then they reboot and they start again, and they do this little dance, like checking all the systems going up and down. And it's interesting how the light bulb was such an important invention. I mean, to be able to see at night. But now the light, it's not just like, I mean, for us to see at night, and then of course industrialization and working and all these like topics attached to it. But now they look at us like even like, it's like the next level of seeing, of like extended view, like the view is kind of becomes remote even. So that's a weird combination of devices here. And I found this beautiful chandelier on eBay Kleinanzeigen with the big East 27 screw Gehäuse. And on the 3rd floor is the station, which then shows all the pictures from the different other floors. So that's like the kind of the surveillance desk situation, which you also see when you enter. I don't know. I entered like some supermarket yesterday, and then sometimes you see these TVs. And yeah, that was that show. And now let me see what else we have. It's always a surprise. Recent work from last year. It's been going on for quite some time now. It started with the climate protests, I think, when the police brutality really kicked in. There's police brutality all over Europe and all over the world, but also especially in Berlin. Maybe you have noticed in the past 2 years it increased like tremendously. Not also, yeah. The CDU government is one part of it, but especially with these protests in solidarity of Palestine, they have a carte blanche, and it's quite brutal what's been going on. And at the same time, my feed was always flooded with, or now everything is flooded with AI pictures, which are brutal in a different way. It's called AI slop now, which is kind of, yeah, depicts it like quite well. And I was thinking, I haven't done much with AI, but I was wondering what happens if I take this still frame from a video and put it into an AI, different AI systems to ask it like, make a video out of this. What happens next in this situation here? And there's another video coming up now, and it has a beautiful sound design. Möchte auf den Keynote. So sometimes Yeah, I play this again. Without sound, can you leave the sound? Sometimes the protester turns into a police woman. Sometimes the police turns to a protester. It becomes this optimized image. This Runaway is very known for like being very perfect, but also it looks like, yeah. Then these glitches coming up, and yeah, I think it's interesting to see what the AI is making of that situation. Although all the AI systems have such a biased background, we also know that, yeah, he is a protester as a police. And this is what really happened then. And they've been doing, I mean, you've probably seen this, that this is one of the moves they do. They just push like people to the ground. It's like a 3-year-old in the playground, like testing what's going on. And there's also all kinds of different grips what they do. And there was, I think for the climate activists, there were court cases already where policemen would, whatever, break their arms and stuff. Yeah, so there's a problem going on. And yeah, here we have the art and technology, I don't know. But I felt like there's a connection with the AI pictures.
Should we maybe get
let's have a break now. Yeah,
great. So now we would like to, before we go into the second half of Aram's talk, we would like to offer everybody the opportunity to ask a question, go into like a little back and forth. So we have this little mic. So if anyone has a question to Aram maybe, or wants to know something more specific about one of the projects, now is your opportunity before we go into the end. Otherwise, I will ask you something. In this like surveillance kind of exhibition, you kind of, or even the one in Osnabrück, you give these roles to the spectators in some kind of way, like, or you give them the opportunity to take these roles of being the observed, being the observer, or taking part in this repair cafe, or yeah, disassembling these tech objects. Is that like a medium you consciously choose to have this interaction with the people? And did you get any feedback on that?
Yeah, I like to do this a lot, and I can show you after this like break also older projects. Workshops is a big part of my practice, that I come up with an idea, you can build something, and then I go to places and we build it together on a table or in a different setting. To engage with public, to engage with people, like opposed. I mean, this looks very white cube now, like in classic. I mean, the classic white cube exhibition, you're not supposed to touch, right? It's like, but this has changed, of course, also. Like there's different museums. Some museums, you're supposed to touch it, and etc. But the workshop and the interactive situation, I think, is very important for me. Yeah.
Okay, is anyone else interested in asking something? Otherwise, I would follow up real quick. I don't want to take away from
you have to wait some time. This is
sorry.
I learned this on TikTok, like with teaching also. You have to wait 7 seconds, in fact. And 7 seconds is like a lot of time.
Should we count to 7?
For someone to like come out like, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, we have one question.
I want to ask you, like, what is the role of irony maybe in your work? Because you said, like, with these screens, it was something ironic that turned on and off. And I wanted to know what you meant about it. And also in your work, probably it has a big role, but at the same time, whether this kind of irony or humor also in your work maybe engage the audience, like they realize your critique, or is also something they bypass also this kind of critique that you're trying. Yeah.
There's always a playful part often in these projects, and now I realize when I just show like the last 2 years, it's a bit dark now, but maybe this is also like reflecting to what times we live in. But older works you're gonna see are even more ironic or like sometimes funny. But then at the same time, for me, there's so many layers. Like you can maybe sometimes you can laugh about something, but also when then you go deeper and you see, yeah, this happens and this happens, and it opens up some questions. So I like to play with that, yeah. But also I never really planned on that. Like sometimes it just happens like this, and maybe that's what I like to do, that it has like a joyful moment in a way, yeah.
And in every play there is a part of seriousness as well, and there's the interplay with play and seriousness. And I also have one question regarding your AI project, because AI slop is overflowing internet, and now we are seeing sometimes there is more AI content than real content. And you as a visual artist, I would like to ask you, what do you think, how we should impose or confront this overflow of AI?
Yeah, I mean, I mean now it's like, of course, it's even the White House is posting these like terrible memes and stuff. So, and everybody, I put out this police video I put out last summer, and the reactions were kind of yeah, people were interested and also posting comments. This was just an Instagram post in the beginning. And I made another one like in March, and then you could tell just by the comments that people are already fed up. Like, yeah, this is interesting, but I can't see AI anymore. People, it's like, I think the threshold of like, I can't deal with this, I don't want to see it anymore. And I hope in a way, or maybe that's like a too optimistic view on it, but there's so much stuff auto-generated, even on Facebook, it's all flooded with AI pictures by some companies. It turns out that even Facebook is like commissioning them to do it so they can claim, oh, look, we have so much traffic on our website. And then the traffic is bots as well. So maybe we don't look at it anymore, and like it's auto-generated and it's bots looking as like maybe it's eating up itself now. Maybe we're at this moment, you know? Like, but yeah, obviously it's a problem in terms of fake news and these sort of questions. Like it's so perfect and it's gonna improve more and more. So the kind of the truth of the picture is like over now, right? Like we can't rely on that anymore. But I think for arts it pushes even more to do something real. Like I see this also in our school, that students sit down and, oh yeah, I cut this 800 frames from paper to make like a stop motion movie, like, and it looks amazing. And it's like also like you can't do this with like some trained model, but so there's a reaction there. And but for all the cheap visual products like advertisement and stuff, oh yeah, that industry is gonna like suffer, like, or even text. I mean, I think all the lawyer text and like the standard recommendation letter and all these things. I mean, that's taken over now. Yeah.
Thank you.
I wonder about the presence of the cameras in your work, because you...
Which I didn't get it. What, the business?
I have a question around the presence of the surveillance and the cameras in your work. Question is whether this is archived or not.
No, yeah, in the show, you mean? Yeah, it wasn't archived also for the opening. We were just like showing the feed. But that's, of course, I have other projects also with surveillance cameras, and that's, of course, a touchy topic then. Like, are you showing us this? Are you recording or not? But then already that question is like part of the show as well, that you walk up the floors of that show and there's like a clock on the wall and a little hook, and then at the top you see the other people of the opening like walking through. So there's something there happening. But also camera surveillance is very classic. It's like super classic. Also in media art, there's many projects, many artists have been working like this. And I like it because, I mean, for the reason that it's very easy to understand. Like, oh yeah, somebody's taking my picture. Also, there's like many cameras pointing at me right now. And, but to explain what happens with like cookies in your browser, or what is metadata, like how's like Facebook extracting all this information from us, and why is it valuable? Like, why does it matter when I go to bed and when I wake up? There's like many hidden things which are very like difficult to explain to your parents or grandparents. And the camera, also the face recognition and these sort of things are very easy entry point to start thinking about the stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but my second question then, thank you very much, of course, because you mentioned also that sometimes you could see the people looking at the poster. And of course, just the fact of their, like, if I would have been the viewer, and I understand and I know that the camera is there, I would not be looking at the poster as if the poster is looking at me. It's almost like I would be watching myself through the poster or through the maker as well. And my questions there is, what did you notice through these observations?
Yeah, it's not like that I was like checking this all the time, but for me it's more the philosophical question of like the pictures looking at us, like the underlying implications there. That's also what, I mean, yeah, you could see it when you walk to the very top, but people would not notice that there's like this tiny camera in the print itself. I mean, there's many, we know this from like fiction and movies and literature, that like, there's paintings with a hole and you can look through and the eyes are moving, and there's many references there. But also here the references to the internet, that images today, like we look at images, but also the image looks at us as an operational image. It starts with a tracking pixel, just a pixel on a website, which is invisible, but it's used to track like your movement on the web, for example. So images became got a different meaning there. There's like Trevor Paglen, also Hito Steil wrote about it a lot. There's things in there which, and then it's the image of this light bulb which turns into a camera itself. So it has like quite some layers to it. Yeah.
When you were just like, never mind. I was wondering, like, how much do you, while doing the project or while realizing your artwork, how much do you think of theory then? Because like right now we already, like, there came up so many stuff about gaze theories and so on. How much are you reading it for yourself, or how much are you building up your, like, how much artistic research do you do in the end? And how do you, like, if you finalize the show, are you then, I don't know what's in the catalogs though, but how much, are you reflecting on it afterwards, or trying to have like a more scientific value through it?
It's very interesting that you, shows are always, or artworks are always evolving over time. Like, I'm one of these artists who I mostly work from a gut feeling, like, this, maybe this. It's not like that I'm working on or reading a certain theory and then develop it from that point, but it's more that, there's many discussions going on, and I kind of navigate in between, and then projects come out, and of course I know there's correlations here and there, but not, I'm often not pointing to a very specific thing. But it can happen that you make something and then 2 years later it's like, oh yeah, this is like a whole different thing now, like just in terms of what happened. Or especially like when you work with technology also, it evolves so fast that things are deprecated or have changed total meaning. So that's an interesting part. And then the moment to realize, like, to make a work, and it really takes that realization and also the exhibition to understand, is it working or not? like, because sometimes you don't know, and sometimes also you have the idea, oh, this is a great project, and it turns out to be like a flop. And on the other hand, I make something very small I wanted to make, but I had no idea, and it turns out to be this viral project. So it's really hard to predict these things. Yeah, but I'm more like the gut feeling artist. Yeah.
Well, thank you. That concludes our 10 minutes of questions for now.
Okay.
I'll give it back to you for another session of your presentation, and then we come back to all the other questions.
So let me go quickly through the last 2-3 projects which are from this year. This year and last year, we can look at some older ones. This was a show at Panke Gallery. I co-curated with Sokrates Stamatatos, friend and curator from Athens. And we also did this show in Athens already last year. It's the idea to invite 30 artists with a phone, and all the artists bring their phone with an artwork, and we put them on the wall and have an opening for one night. This happened in Panke Gallery on, I think, 2nd of February this year. And I've been doing quite like 3 or 4 different like show formats over the years, or maybe 5-ish. Always with that question, how to exhibit digital art. Like it's, we look at screens all day, and then you go to the museum. Back in the, like some time back, you would go to the museum and they would try to hide the screen behind the white wall. I mean, you have these like very old blocky TV monitors, but also sometimes they put the flat screen behind the white wall and make a window in there. It's kind of funny, but also today maybe they're not doing this anymore. But there was this question how to exhibit like screen-based art, digital art, and I've been doing different formats over the years, and this is sort of the latest iteration. And it's interesting how, because we're used so much to look at phones, people they engage really with the work in that show. People would really look at piece after piece, and I haven't expected that, so it worked out quite well. There were some live events going on. Instead of a video, this is like a call. Jonas Lund was calling in and giving advice on, I think also was giving advice on AI and these things. This was a one-night show, and the format is called total screen time. This is also what I like to do with my students. Or then they ask me, when I show them TikTok videos, like, what's your screen time, Aram? And I'm like, yeah, let's look at our screen time. Like, we can do this also like later, like how many hours per week you look at your screen. And the version, this is a video again. This was the first version of the show in Athens in November at the studio of Theo Triantafilidis.
Wicked.
That's it. Yeah, it's interesting. I think Raphael Rosendahl said this once to me that because everybody's like showing each other their work from the phone. Yeah, look what I made. Even like when you do sculpture or anything else or painting, then look, this is my last painting. And then he mentioned, like, we all know this, but also he said, yeah, but the collectors do the same thing. Like they have the whole collection on their phone too. And then so you make an artwork, it's shown on the internet, but also on phone screens, and then it ends up in some collection, and the collector would also show the work from the phone again. So it's really, and it's again an ironic twist here that people walk around with phones and then looking at phones on the wall, and it emulates that white cube situation, but just for one night. And this is the work on the Brink. It has been exhibited so far only one time in the Kunstverein Hirschhornhof in Niedersachsen. And it's a phone on a chair, and there's some smoke emanating from the phone. Usually this means like there's a problem with the battery. Maybe you have seen like these videos when the phone explodes. Samsung famously had I think the Galaxy Series 6 or something. They had a trouble with exploding phones. And so when the battery is cracked, or you sit on your phone and the battery is damaged, it can catch fire. The insurance guy of this Kunstverein, he had he was the only person to freak out about it, apparently, because he knows what was going on. But in fact, this is a water vaporizer sitting under the chair, and there's a little hole, and it's water vapor coming from it. But for me, it's symbolizing all the stuff which is going on our phones nowadays, like the whole pressure of the news, but also of the emotional pressure from the social networks, etc. And we are on the brink on to wherever this is leading us. But the touch phone and the way these big platforms working is certainly putting a lot of trouble onto us. So this is the end of my second talk, and now we can go. But now we can go back to the fun part, to the old talk. I can start over, but you can also drop in questions. Where's the loop? It's coming now. It's only this was only 5 minutes of the 20 minutes.
We can also break the rules of the loop when you feel like it.
You can also ask for projects. We can go to my website. But let me just quickly go. Let's have a look at this video. It has some sound. Yeah, this is the work's called The Perfect Beach. It was part of the Thailand Biennale in 2018-19, I think. And it's a print from a typical desktop background. There's many desktop backgrounds of perfect beaches, but also we have beach wallpapers since many years as a reference to something paradise as from a Central European perspective. But then I brought these prints with this performance, like there's different prints to this very famous beach in Thailand. The whole Biennale was kind of on the coast of Krabi as another beach area with many tourists. And right now we're in front of a high-end hotel where the cheapest room, I think, is $1,000 or something. And we know there's always this promise of like the perfect beach and the perfect place to go to, but also when you look at the sand, this looks like a Bagasi around the corner somehow. And some of the tourists were like irritated what's going on here, like are they fooling me? Then the other half was like the local tourists from Thailand, they were like engaging with it, like taking pictures. Because it looks cool somehow. There was no instructions to do that. And of course, we go to these places to take pictures and post them back online on social media. There's all these different famous places to go to and to make a certain picture and a certain move and all this like Instagram stuff everybody's tired of as well. As from the AI slop, but it's still going on, I guess. Yeah, and it always opens that question: is this down the perfect beach, or do I need to go to this island in the back? Maybe the beach is better there. Like, and also there's so many people here, and in the pictures the beach is always empty, but it's not true when you go there. So. The promise and the way this is shown in the media. Also, just like the palm tree here, right? Where's it coming from? Actually, like you can already tell with this picture. It's not really. It's not a correct photo. And then I had watermark text in the print. It's a whole article about erosion of the coast. Of course, also the climate change is like putting on a big toll, they have storms and the coast is going away. There's this famous beach, bay of this film with Leonardo DiCaprio, etc., which is like, it's all madness, yeah. So this is superimposing those artificial images and expectations with the real background. Also, you can see the sky is not blue, there's clouds, like what's going on here. And then the next step after this was for the Bergleitsbiennale in Dessau, maybe also 2019. I kind of flipped it to the green screen because it's became also with the streaming, the sort of pop culture background, just the green screen as a green screen is enough. You don't even need to cut anything in there. We know this is coming from Hollywood and goes back like many decades, and it's for like post-production, But when you put this in this park next to the castle of, I don't know, St. Friedrich, like, and it's the park, like a romantic park from the 18th century, and they also have like made up little castles and little tea house, and so it is already a stage for some Herzog back in the days, and this is kind of the contemporary stage, and people would of course also start posing on here. There were like tracks of bicycles. Apparently there were some BMX guys making jumps on there. I have no pictures of that, unfortunately, but yeah, it fits in very well with the trees, and it's like this vertical sculpture, part of the nature, part of our nature maybe. And there's like some romantic sculptures here which are probably brand new. They look a bit like from the Baumarkt, but they're probably not from the Baumarkt. And people start to engage again with the work and using these. It's called Common Ground. Yeah, and then we the loops continues. There's many more projects here. Your bicycles from the street, that's fun. Taking out bicycles, rental bicycles from the water. This is kind of a good thing to show. Now we can see it like this, right? I took them from the river and from the canal at Nordbahnhof, and they became these sculptures which are defunct. They look like very old relics of some other society, but they're just like half a year old, and they're just dumped there by some kids, which use them as careless these platforms push them into the city. That's interesting. But we can also look at some of the old works. Yeah, I just wanted to go to this slide. Dead Drops is one of these very early works when I had a residency in New York City, and I was just like, I felt sick on arrival for 10 days, and I had no much time left, and I'm like, I had all these plans for like a big sculpture or something. I forgot what it was, and then let's do this thing with the USB key in the wall, and that's going to be fine. And it turned out to be a very famous project in the end. It's been going on since then, since 15 years. It's the idea of a distributed offline file sharing network. You take a USB key and you cement it into a wall. The part of the city becomes a data drive in that moment. I like to think I made the first 5 USB keys in New York City. Also, this probably helped a lot because then it went viral in New York, in the US, and it was like all over the web and news articles. And the first 5 years was pretty crazy. But it's still coming back. I mean, after Snowden, there was a big wave, but also like South America had a big wave in the past 4 years. And so this is probably an older screenshot now. It's like 2,500 dead drops being made over the course of 15 years. There's a world map. You can look up the locations. This looks a bit different today. And then there's always 3 pictures where the dead drop is. You can go to the place. I don't know what's on these drives. It's offline. It's embedded into the city. Also, they tend to disappear rather quickly. And for me, coming from architecture, I studied architecture actually over there at the UDK in the 90s. And I was always interested in this, even like back then already, like what happens when the internet comes to space and how is like data intertwined with the world we live in. Yeah, this became very much a reference project for art and technology and the city, public space, yeah. And then groups started to make art shows on here or released music albums, and it also started to have its life on its own. So you could go, you could download the album, or you have to pay something, or you can go to the place and download it for free and all these things. And that was also the piece which was in a big MoMA group show in 2011. I wonder what you said, I'm like, Centre Pompidou, I don't remember actually. This was like sneaked in by somebody. Was it?
Fake news?
Fake news. Is this on my website? Oh my, this is embarrassing. Yeah. Yeah, in Havana, they had the Biennale or some big art show, and then they also got in touch, and they wanted to show the works on the dead drop. They could not show in the show. So also ways of using this. Yeah, but we can open up. Yeah, here's an exhibition concept, another one. I did like to go to internet cafes and rent all computers and make art shows in internet cafes. And this was kind of the museum version at the MDBK, Museum der Künste in Leipzig a few years back. So this was kind of the whole thing. The whole situation moved into the white cube. But also the idea, as with the phones before, that each computer has one digital artwork on it, and you could go to the show and see all of this. And yeah, we also made one of those shows in Greece last year, again, in a proper internet cafe. You don't find them that much anymore. Yeah, but what else to look at? This is also old pictures, but I think we all look at phones today, right? I wonder what's leading to this. This was some comparison I found back then, because when newspaper was new and great, then also people would complain like, yeah, nobody talks anymore, everybody's reading newspaper. But the problem is, of course, we are at a very much higher level of like being connected, and the way the attention is captured by negative emotions, that like kind of destroys everything right now. I was listening to a podcast yesterday by Novara Media on like how it's breaking like really the kids like getting on Instagram with 11 years. And especially in US and UK was these examples where it really breaks the psyche of young children. Maybe you've seen the Netflix series Adolescence. I think it's very well shown there. Yeah, but the loop is...
The loop just ended.
Yeah, the loop is already around here, yeah.
Can I still maybe
Yeah.
ask you about one of your works? Like you said, I've been to some of your talks, and I always wondered, there's a series of video game related works that you have on your website.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if there was a point where you decided to drop video games as a medium, because nowadays I get the feeling they are as like present as ever, and these like especially children.
Did I drop it? Oh shit. Yeah.
Maybe you didn't. Maybe I'm getting the wrong impression. But
No, yeah, it's true that I'm like, I mean, I did quite like the very early ones were video game related. It used to be, it's a bit of a problem because it used to be in the media art festival sphere, then there were many media, like game art shows, and then you always end up in these game art shows. I have also other friends who dropped the video art. But I did like to make these fun projects back in the day, going to, this was in Cologne, I think, doing this performance with a sword from World of Warcraft. It's like one of these like massive multiplayer games from back in the day, and then carrying it as if it's like a normal item in the real world. This kind of stuff. A famous one is this one, yeah. Also World of Warcraft. I mean, actually, I never played it, but we would walk each other's names, like real names, in public space. This was at the Laguna Beach Museum in south of LA. And in these video games, you always have like your name tag floating above the head of your character. This is like still true for like many games online still today. They're probably not as big as this anymore, but it's your identity, like, oh yeah, it's this player, la la la. So, and then I wondered what would it look like to carry our names out there in the city. And it's another workshop. It's a workshop you bring in a group of people, and they make their names from cardboard and put them on a plastic strip, and then we did walk them on the beach in Laguna. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Also did the same thing, in many places.
Surveillance.
This was in Seoul, South Korea. And it really depends on where you do this. When you do this in Berlin, then it's like, oh yeah, it's another probably art project. In Laguna Beach, they would think it's advertisement for a political party. And here, people would shout the name like really loud in the street because it was like a student neighborhood, and yeah. And of course, I mean, it's normal. Like you talk to someone and you engage, and you ask for a name. And in US, it's very common like to say your name right away. Germany, it's a bit more laid back, but it's nothing too private. But like to walk it like this public is a different thing then. And also it relates to how social media, your name is like very visible. This is changing. Maybe it's a bit changing again. I see with the younger, like the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, which is coming now, they're not using their real names anymore. That is kind of over. So those are some game-related projects.
Great. Maybe with this, we open it up to everybody again. What was it again? 7 seconds?
7 seconds? What?
I should wait for someone.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you for your talk. My question was more about, I see your work in realms of speculation and also humor, but how do you personally evaluate a work that no one engages with? You just put it out there, but it doesn't go viral or no one reacts to it. Would you still be, as an artist, satisfied with it, or there are personal criteria that you use for evaluating a work?
I didn't get it fully. Like, my work is...
So, for example, if the work that you showed, a lot of it went viral, people reacted to it. Are there works that no one reacted to and you just put it out?
yeah.
So how do you evaluate the success of that work personally?
Yeah, that's a good one, yeah. Yeah, sometimes even with the parcel station in Osnabrück, also people just want to pick up their parcel. They're like it's like when you plan this, then you can explain it to DHL, like, yeah, and then they go and see the show, and da, da, da. But in reality, they're just like, oh yeah, what's this thing? Oh yeah, I want my thing, and then they go. But for me, they become part of the show just by interacting with this like sculpture, yellow sculpture, and one part of it is like since the internet, the web was there, and this is also how I started. I mean, I was trained as an architect, and then I wanted to make art, and I just put stuff online. So you can make something very small, like, or just 1-2 people looking at you, and then you bring it to the web. This is a performance, like a spontaneous performance piece I was just running behind the Google car in 2009. And so nobody's seen this, like, except, and then the guys in the cafe were like, what were you doing? And but it became part of Google Street View for many years. It's taken down now because they have updated it for some time ago. But then it was like received a lot online, and I think also the whole like era of post-internet art it's very much coined about like, yeah, you make an artwork and you put it online and it's seen on the web. Actually, it's not so much about the space, but then also they turn it, of course, into sculpture and into space. I mean, but there's a relation there, and yeah, and sometimes there's works which are not known very well, and at the same time, there's museums asking for certain works all the time, over and over again. So I also wonder. But yeah, sometimes stuff is hidden. I don't know. The audience is a good question. Yeah.
Okay. Test. I know that you have this workshop, the Kill Your Phone workshop, but also I like that some of your projects are like open to community-based formats in a way. Also the Repair Cafe, and yeah, maybe you can talk about this. But also my next question would be: are there like workshop formats, maybe even from other people, or like something you think you would like to attend, or maybe think is important right now, that go into this direction?
Like from other artists? Now I have to think really quickly. Of
But
course,
also,
that
if you have like any things that are interesting to you right now.
Right now, I mean, just like quickly to explain what's going on here. This is the Kill Your Phone workshop from 2010. Oh no, this is the video. Yeah, we don't need to watch the video actually. It's the idea to instead of wrapping yourself, I mean, the material is made to wallpaper your house, so there's no electronic waves coming to harm you. And I turn it around and offer this workshop where people can make cell phone pouches to block the signal of the phone. So you put your phone in the pouch, and then it has no connection anymore. And there's a security reason to do this, like because we cannot take out batteries, and we're not sure if the phone is off, and But also, it's just like the physical experience of I can make this with a sewing machine, and then it's there, and you can't use your phone anymore. Also, like it has no reception, but also it's blocking you from using it. This is a workshop that's been going on for a while, and yeah, in general, I like it. It's right now. I looked at mesh testing. That's more like a technological thing. Mesh testing is like it's a radio network with little devices, and you can send very small text messages over long distance, and so you can build your own infrastructure, which is something also Europe is now finding out that, oh yeah, maybe we need own infrastructure and not dependent on Microsoft, Google, all these things. And yeah, that's like something I wanted to look into. I still wanted to do with the students, maybe build these Feinstaub collectors. Like it's like sensors to measure the exhaust of cars in the city. There was a project some years ago. Yeah, but on the top of my head, it's really interesting because I can feature, of course, Nadja Buddendorf has been doing amazing workshops. The unfit makeup, for example, you can pimp yourself like unfit instead of like the beautiful filter, you make the unbeautiful filter, but this is already wrong, like to say it like this. There's like many ways of, and artists who use this as a format. I like it, yeah.
Hi, thank you so much. Yes, I have a question. Well, I follow your work since like many years, since Fat Lab, and then like, yeah, in Venezuela and this kind of like global south, you see like some kind of practices like in the Western, like in Europe, in the US, in Japan, you know, and then you always feels like outdated, you know, like in this kind of disbalance on time or resources and different also ideas, no? And then like my question is regarding like after post-internet art and regarding the situation that we are now with like big companies and what is going on in general in the world, what are your perspectives? What is going to happen with this relation between computer art, digital art, this kind of like, I don't know, the art bricks, you know, like in this kind of like idea of digital art that become also like almost like branding, big tech, true art. Like what are your predictions? What is the future looks like?
Sorry. It's interesting. I've been on like quite some talks in the past 3 weeks, like on different panels, and we had a panel from the FU like this Sonderforschungsbereich intervenierende Künste at the H2 last week, and then there was a panel discussion online which was called Prank Politics versus Critical Art, and prank politics refers to like what Trump is doing, and everybody's trying to copy in politics now. So, and there was the question, because back in the days you had Yes Men or different groups who would in Fat Lab who would like make prank art, like fooling the public with stuff online, but you cannot do this anymore because now the politics, like they are doing it really like every day, flooding the zone with shit and stuff. And so it's a big question what to do now. And I think it always goes back to what the hackers been saying like all the way long, like to be dependent on the platforms, to be dependent on the companies with the software is bad, You have this iPhone, you cannot like install your own software, you cannot use it the way you want to use it. You have people like Cory Doctorow who wrote a lot about copyright. He now has this famous article about enshittification, describes very precisely how a platform starts. It's fun, you use it, you see your friends, like Instagram 2012, I don't know. And then they bring on the advertisement, the companies and the users like us, we already hooked on it. and then you have the Netzwerk effect. You cannot get off anymore. And then also the companies are caught in it too. Like it goes to a third stage where they're just extracting money. Like, I mean, this I heard my partner said yesterday, YouTube Premium was like $12 a month. I had no idea. Like it's like they got this monopole position, and now they really milking the money from us. And I don't know. I like to teach like making your own music mix on a CD and stuff. So it's very retro in a way. Like go back and learn from the start, like doing these things again. And in terms of art, I think post-internet was, of course, nice to see how this movement from the internet like had big impact on the mainstream in art. It's like it suddenly was visible everywhere, and now it's like normal to have like TVs as sculpture and there's computer games everywhere in an art fair or but I remember when this was like not normal, like I don't know, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Yeah, but then that's the big question, like what to do and what to do with art, and maybe it's reaching people, building like networks, like real networks, like not the idea of like the social network online is not social. We all know this. Like it isolates us, like people sitting at home, like stuck in the stream, and kids maybe especially, and you miss out on the building stuff and being together. Yeah.
Just like here. Yeah, maybe, exactly. Maybe one last question, if someone is interested, and okay.
So thank you for the great talk and discussion. And my question would be, it's a bit non-project related, but more a general question. So because you mentioned you studied architecture, whether it still influences your practice today, and if so, how it does?
Yeah, I think it's always there. I mean, this was like a moment when I studied here. I started in '95, and I had to walk over to the physicists' building to go online, and there was only like Unix terminals, and had to write like in this like window emails to one friend I knew who had an email address in Hamburg, like so. Really, and UDK had no internet like back then, but it changed quickly. And when I think even my thesis project was no house, I had like a lot of nightmares for many years that like Tassilo was asking me, "Where's your house, Aram?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I make a website as my diploma," and it took some like I don't know 3, 4, 5 more years for this decision. I want to make art. So, and I had no, as I said before, it started online, and I had to learn later how to exhibit in a white cube even, because I was not sure like how does this work with the white walls. And sometimes you have a gallerist who's like, oh yeah, 2 inches to the left, and they know exactly how to place it. Also right now I have to frame something, like a photo for a show, and I'm like, I still don't know what frames to use. Like, of course you can go somewhere expensive and frame it really fancy, but I don't know like what's the best color for the wood and so what. So, but going to do something outside is very natural to me, like to build something, to bring it outside. It's not so much that I do it myself nowadays, but I used to. And you have the public, you have people just like stumbling into your art, which are not like didn't expect to see this. You have discussions about a computer game then when you walk on the beach with this. So I always like that a lot. Yeah. And the I don't know, somehow space related things. I mean the idea of space is also related in here. Yeah.
And we have the last question, a very short one.
It's super short. Aram, 2 years ago you presented on Open Libre, this open source software. Now Keynote. What happened?
It's interesting, right? But I still have both here. Yeah, this is like LibreOffice, like presenter, because I used to work on. I did all the systems. I had Windows for many years. It was always cheaper. I was a gamer, so you use Windows. Then I used Linux, only Linux for, I don't know, 5-8 years. And then I started teaching, and then I became like, it's much more convenient, you know, like, so I switched to Apple. I became lazy. I do like Face ID, Thumb ID, and all the stuff. So I'm like totally sucked into this world. But I run my own servers, like with the data, and I don't share my address book. And I still have I do these limits, but I'm not very private sensitive anymore with these things. Keynote, like the LibreOffice thing, like is crashing really hard on you. Like when you put big videos in there, it's really bad. But it's only the second time I'm using Keynote, and last week I used it first time actually. And I don't mind. You can always go back. Also, that's now the design students, and everybody has an Apple. Some have like a Windows machine. I always say like it's fine. There's also like a whole status thing around it, but there's things you can do with Windows which you can't on Mac and stuff. Yeah.
We are coming to the end of this lovely evening, and we would like to thank you all for coming, and also shout out to our team who made it possible to gather here together. And also thank you so much, Aram, for coming and sharing those inputs, and I'm sure everyone will come out of this room with some new ideas. And
I'll be back in 2027.
This time, some talks about robots, algorithms, and new ways of imagining life with machines. And we'll have 2 special guests, Andreas Muxel and Judith Dornbacher. So note on your calendar on 5th of June. And thank you all again for coming. And we also invite you to have a little drink and continue the conversations on the bar. And enjoy the rest of this week, and see you soon.